Hello, thanks for joining us. Another installment of What We Believe. The children of Abraham had been in captivity for 400 years. 400 years of being desperate for God to come and save them. And finally it was going to happen. God gave them instructions that on this particular night it was going to happen. They were to paint blood on their doorposts. They were to sacrifice a lamb. They were to have a meal consisting of unleavened bread and wine. But most of all, they would be ready to move, ready to leave, ready to go, because he was going to save them this night. The night was called Passover, one of the holiest nights for the Jews. It was a celebration that was carried on for centuries. After that, on and on, passed down from father to son in families taking place, celebrating and remembering that initial Passover of God. Some 1,400 years later, a rabbi from Galilee gathers his disciples around him to once again celebrate that deliverance, celebrate that Passover. It's a ritual and a celebration that had been handed down for centuries. But this time he does something new. In the meal, he stops and he holds a glass of wine and he says, "This is my blood, take and drink." And he takes bread and says, "This is my body," and gives it to them. He institutes the Lord's Supper, the giving of his body and blood for his church. This Lord's Supper is God's way of feeding and nourishing his church. We call it at St. Andrew, one of our favorite phrases is that the Lord's Supper, this body and blood of Jesus Christ, is grace made tangible. It's touchable, tangible forgiveness. It's touchable, tangible grace. It's Jesus Christ coming to us and saying once again, "You're a part of my family." It's Jesus coming to us and giving us of himself that we could grow strong, that we can grow in this faith, that we can live in this faith, that we can serve him and serve our fellow man. But as Jesus takes it, and its simplicity is also its complexity. And it comes, parts of the confusion happens there. Because what happens, Jesus simply takes bread and he holds up the bread and he says, "This is my body." He does the same thing with the wine. He holds it up and says, "This is my blood." Is the bread and the wine still there? Yeah, chemically they're still bread and wine. But by the power of his words, they're now also the body and blood. Two things become into one thing. Do we understand it? No. Do we believe it? Yes. Because it's resting on the power of Jesus' words, the power of what God has done through those words and the power of God in those words coming to us. Here at St. Andrew, we summarize our belief and our teaching of what that teaching is all about on our communion cards. For first-time visitors and guests, you want to see whether you should commune with us, look at this. We also would urge our members too as well to look at these things each time you come to commune and help prepare ourselves as we do at communion to pray yourself to meet God face to face.